their keynote speaker. The Pilates Method Alliance, or PMA, was a new and wonderful organization that sought to standardize the teaching of Pilates and establish the requirements for teacher certification. It was a brave effort to get the rapidly expanding and uncontrolled world of Pilates under one roof and to create a forum for the education, promotion, and requirements of Pilates training and instruction. The keynote was on the evening of the first day. Many of the participants had spent a full day doing Pilates in various classes and were now relaxed and ready to learn a little about the history of their professional career choice. Some 450 people, all of whom were fit and vigorous, turned out in anticipation of the opening speech. My charge that evening was to sketch what it was like being taught Pilates by Joe Pilates, how the original studio had appeared and operated, and something about the man himself. I had a unique perspective. Only few of us had lived long enough to know what it was like to be taught by the originator. Of these, I was the only amateur. The others were teaching professionals. These first-generation teachers were in the audience. In the weeks before, as I prepared for my talk, my mind kept jumping to many questions. Who was this man I was to talk about? Where did he come from? And what inspired him to develop his exercise routine? I hadn't given a thought to these questions while Joe was alive. He never discussed his past or how he created his original exercise method of contrology. In that aspect, I was like everyone else, ignorant of the backstory behind both the man and his methods. When I began to outline my talk, my lack of knowledge of Joe's background scared me. I wondered how I could speak on a topic I knew little about. I certainly knew Joe as he was during the last little bit of his long and varied life. I knew what it was like doing Pilates under his watchful eye. And I knew him outside his gym. Yet, even with all the time I had spent with him, I knew no more of his past than anyone could find by punching his name into Google, and that was not much. Recalling my time with Joe stimulated my curiosity. I wanted to know more about the central character in my talk. I wanted to know how Joe conceived of his exercise routine. I wondered what there was to the Pilates method that suddenly caused it to burst forth from a small, almost cult-like following into a mass exercise program. And I had a further question, a personal question. What drove me over the years to keep Pilates afloat? How did I, someone who didn't make a career out of or even a dime from Pilates, get infected with the Joe bug? Sure, I wanted to have a place to do it, but when the corner pizzeria went out of business, I didn't learn how to run a pizzeria. Perhaps doing this inquiry, I might find out something about myself. There was a lot to cover and uncover here. As I started my talk, I was curious how much my audience knew about the exercise regime they taught and had studied so intently. I asked, who in the audience knew that Pilates was the name of an actual person? I was shocked when only half the audience raised their hands. Next, I asked for a show of hands from those who knew that Pilates was a person and who thought he was alive.